Hello, hello. My name is April Malone with Yes, I Work From Home, and this is the podcast. Today I have Crystal Layland from Wisconsin with us. She is a business coach for corporate women. Crystal, take it away. Tell us what you've done. I know you have had quite a journey, and I want to dig in on some of these things, but go ahead and just tell us where you're at right now and where you've come from.
Sure. So, hi, thanks for having me on the show today. I help corporate women, so women who have this 9 to 5, but they're also working towards entrepreneurship and having, being their own boss and doing their own thing. I help them really solidify and transition from corporate into a full-time um, business owner status, basically. And not everybody needs to do that or wants to do that, which is totally fine. But for those that are like really sitting there saying to themselves, I need to make this work. I need to make this work. I'm ready to leave. That's who I serve. I help them
So
really
you're
get that ground running.
kind of a transition coach for people who are trying to leave the office and work for themselves, usually from home. Is that what you end up
Yes.
doing?
Yes, exactly.
All right. And I know that you've in the past you started, I don't know how long ago you were doing administrative assistant type work. Is that something from like distant past or recent past?
I have been in the administrative field for years. Um, and that fell into my lap. So when I was doing coaching, and I've been a coach since 2014 officially, but people would always reach out to me because I do have a knack for technology and I have that administrative background. They would reach out to me and ask me to help them with stuff. So it was kind of like under the wraps. I never
Mhm.
advertised it really. But it was more so like I had another business going and so I did offer some VA services. In fact, I'm wrapping up with 2 clients that are overseas right now. So I just am, I guess, transferring the my clients to a new VA. So, we know.
Awesome. So that was kind of how is that how you kind of started working from home? And then you're like, wow, I have a knack for this. I'm a natural at coaching and helping people with, is that like automation or just technical things?
Well, what I was doing for the VA services, and like I was helping build business systems for online coaches.
Mm.
So, like the funnels, the sales funnels, the email sequences, building, it was a plethora of things, but building the website, getting like the scheduling system, and building the project management system, like all the things that an online coach needed. That I did for myself, I was offering to fellow coaches. And that was not where I started really. I've been an entrepreneur for over 15, almost 16 years now. My first job was organizing. So I was a professional organizer.
Mm.
And um, I've then I transitioned to helping, organizing homes and time management to organizing events. And so I had an event planning studio for many years in my local community, or not. I was an event planner for many years in my local community. I opened a studio. I had a studio for about a year, and I'm like, this isn't paying off for me. Um, the work that I was doing was exhausting, energetically and physically. And I loved the idea of it. I loved the idea of, running my own business and all of that, but it was taking away time from my children. It wasn't financially, like I had not hit that financial mark where I was able to make it full time doing my own thing. I always had something at least part time going on, just to keep a roof over my head. It just wasn't working out.
What kind of
Um,
studio was it?
it was an event planning studio. So I planned celebrations. And so
Yeah.
I had my own little shop. I did where we would meet and I would work out of my shop instead of working out of my home.
I see.
I
So you'd have
worked
your
out of my home
clients.
previously, but then I wanted to have some kind of presence, like physical presence in the community. So when people, I was right in prime area in downtown La Crosse, and, I wanted that street traffic. I wanted that recognition.
Mhm.
It's really, it is a challenge when you work from home and you don't have that sign outside your door saying this
Yeah.
is what I do. And you, especially, I'm all online. And
Mhm.
so my presence is building up that online visibility. Whereas, that's why I tried the studio. But again, it was at a time where things for me in that industry were fizzling out because it wasn't paying off.
Okay. So when you closed the studio, the storefront where you had the name outside, did you
Mhm.
just close that business entirely and start a new
I did.
chapter?
I
Okay.
did. I did. Yeah. But it wasn't right away where I started that new chapter. I needed a break. I needed to recoup. I knew that like I can make it work. But I just need to figure out what that was. I am the jack of all trades, right? Like I good technically, I'm good at deciphering a lot of things. I'm organized, I do all these things. But I knew, I have a master's degree in business. So I have training and education in this broad field. But I knew that you can't build a business serving everyone doing everything. Like that's just not going to work. So I needed to really figure it out and define what it is, what was my next step.
Mhm.
And so what I did was I just took some time for myself. And I think that's really where I started becoming more self-aware, just on that whole journey of finding, and being aware of my thoughts and aware of my behavior patterns and all of those things. But what I did was I reached out to past colleagues, friends, family, and I asked them, and I have my notes from this, but I asked them, if you were to seek out advice from me, what would be the topic? And
Ooh,
not everybody replied, but I did get a lot of really good, solid feedback. And
wow.
that is what I used to help me um, figure out that next path. And a lot of the feedback was around business. Obviously, that was just my background. I could talk about that all day long. But it was confidence. And it was really funny because I appeared confident to everybody else but myself. We all have those inside gremlins, but it's really funny how nobody else can see that all the time.
Mhm.
People thought that I was just so confident and bold and brave and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, well,
I'm
let's
still
go
trying to
with
find
it.
myself.
Yeah,
Help.
exactly.
That's a really neat way to leverage your network. A lot of times people are like, hey, if you know someone that could help me get into such and such, industry, I need a contact or introduction. And you were like, what am I good at? And that's really good. So it sounds like you've had kind of a menagerie of different experiences. Did you ever actually work in the office or in a corporate setting?
Yes, I have had many office positions. Um, So when I first started, like my first real job, I worked at the front desk of a small family run business. And I actually created a position out of that opportunity. I created an inventory analysis position, and I ran that and I trained the next person, created a manual. Um, and from there, I just, I was young. I was like 18, 19 years old. Well,
Mhm.
no, it was pretty 19. And I was just trying to figure out what was my thing? What's my career? You
Right.
know?
Did the
So,
organizing come in before or after the inventory thing?
sure. That came in later. So when I was in my master's degree program, we had to, create a business. And I was like, I had been playing with the idea of actually jumping out and doing something on my own. And that was basically a project that I took on in my master's degree program, and I made it a business. And yeah.
The organizing thing is what you thought through when you were in your program?
Yes. Well, we had to like create a business plan and map out all these different things to build a system for a profitable business. And that was one of the things that I chose to do.
And then you're like, you know what? Might as well just do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Awesome.
it was actually pretty profitable, but a lot of, yeah, a lot of work because, yeah, it was just not a clientele that I wanted to serve, because I understood that, people, when I would come in to help them with organizing their home and their time, it was a lot going on behind the scenes and like that mental health thing, and I wasn't trained for that. I wasn't ready for that. And
Mm,
um, it's not just going in and making their house pretty and organized, because you can do that, but then it's just going to go right back.
right. So it's educating
I
and
felt
training. Yeah.
like I wasn't serving to the fullest,
Right.
because it wasn't giving them that transformation.
Mhm.
It was just making the house pretty. And I'm
Mhm.
like, man, I'm not trained for this. And I had a doctor. One of my biggest clients was a doctor, and huge transformation in her home, visibly. But
Yes.
there was a lot of barriers that she was working on internally.
Mhm.
And I just felt like I was doing a disservice by not,
Mm.
addressing that. So I'm like, well, this is probably not the business for me. It, so.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I know that even just sorting papers, like literally just going through boxes of old papers, is exhausting to me because I'm reliving every moment from every single thing and having to make decisions. Do I want to keep this? Do I want to remember this? How am I going to organize this? And just going
Mhm.
through a few boxes of paper, I like to look for something or to to downsize, my paper files. I feel like I've lived 1,000 memories in that hour,
Mhm.
and it's a big deal. And so I can imagine helping someone else process their stuff. You don't have that emotional attachment to all of those things. And so it's easy for you to be like, this, that, the other thing, this can stay,
Yeah.
this can go. Let's put this here. That looks nice. And they're like, oh boy, there's, baggage and attachments and,
Mhm.
things that go with it. I can see that being emotionally charged business.
Yeah.
Um, so after that, then when you were doing the organization business, were you doing like half and half? Like, were you going out into people's homes and coming home and doing your paperwork and billing and invoicing and all those things?
Yes. Mhm.
Would you say it was like 50-50, or what kind of split was it?
Um, well, I mean, I would be home, I'd be marketing, I'd be making phone calls, writing press releases. Um, at that time, I don't think Instagram was a thing. I think it was like, I had a website. So I did have a lot of traditional marketing to do,
Mm-hmm.
billing, um, and just mapping out like things for the client. So I do a lot of client work. So I guess you'd say 50-50. Um, and then the in-person would be that physical, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
service.
And then when you were doing the studio, was that 100% being done at the studio, or were you bringing work home as well?
Well, before I actually had the physical studio, I was doing all my work at home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if I had to meet face to face with clients, it'd either be at the venue or at a coffee shop or in their home. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but majority of it was at home, behind the scenes, doing, yeah, work from home.
And then now, are you 100% working from home now? No more out
I
in the community service
no
stuff,
more
or are you
out.
meeting people?
No, right. I am working from home.
And is everyone that you're meeting with virtual now, or are you still meeting with anyone face to face?
Everyone is virtual. However, I do have a new VIP day program. So I have that option for specific clients, if they want to meet me in the La Crosse area and do a face-to-face VIP day, they can do so, but it's mainly virtual. So we meet like via Zoom. I do all my work virtually. Yeah.
So it sounds as though you've gone from expanding, because the city that you live in is not a large area. You live near La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is, I grew up about an hour or so. Rochester, Minnesota was another, and then I think I was 20 miles west of Rochester. So probably 80, 90 minutes from where you are now. That's not a very big metro area. So now all of a sudden you're going from working with your in-person clients for your organization and your event planning business to what, the world? Are you like mostly working with US based people or international too?
Mainly US. However, some of my VA clients have been international. So I have some in the UK and Singapore and So in South Africa, but that was for my VA services, and which like I said, I didn't really advertise for that. It just kind of fell in my lap, and then they referred, people to me. And but now, like for my business coaching, it is mainly the clients that I'm working with are
US based.
US based, yes.
I want to change gears a little bit and talk a little bit about your home life work balance. You've mentioned that you have children, and I know that you were previously in a past life an organization expert in time management. So do you want to give some ideas of how that's working for you? How do you manage your time, and any recommendations for people who might struggle in that area? I would be one of those.
I do a lot of time blocking. Really how I start my day is probably the night before, and I evaluate, okay, this is the top 3 priorities that I need to get done. And those are the first things that I address when I sit down at my workstation the following day. And like number 1 on the list is always the revenue generating activities.
Right.
And that's like a number 1 priority. So every day it's going to be hitting the lead generation and building that pipeline. But, calendar blocking, not filling up your calendar. And I've heard other people, talk about how everything goes on the calendar. And I almost feel like that can be overwhelming for folks. And it can really throw you off a little bit, where maybe you don't follow the calendar at all because it's too freaking full. You need to allow yourself some time to be flexible and breathe.
Yeah.
So I have 3 children, and 2 of which are home. My son is not. He's 18. He's 19 tomorrow, so his birthday is tomorrow. But and then I have a cat.
Me too.
I'm surprised he's not like banging on the door, because when he follows me, it's mom that he loves. He follows me everywhere. And even like he's usually, when I'm on a podcast interview, he's usually on the bed watching me or just being in my space. It's funny, but he's not here right now.
My cat actually interrupted me for the first time at my previous recording, and came, I guess the door wasn't quite latched, and just came barging in. And I was like, okay. So the first time ever, if you want to see what my cat looks like, look at the last episode. So you've got 2 kiddos. Are they school age?
So I have a high schooler and then an elementary school. So my daughter, they're both daughters. Sorry, both girls. But my older daughter, she's going to be a senior this year. And then I have a second grader. But for them, really managing that time during my prime working hours and then being available for them is critical.
Your 2 school age kids, are they also, you've got one who's out of the house, and the 2 school age kids, are they literally at home all of the time or just some of the time?
Nope, they're always here.
Go
Yes.
ahead. Sorry, I interrupted one of your thoughts.
No, it's okay. They are always here. One key thing to make it all work while we're all in the house is just setting boundaries and communicating. Like they know, even today, my daughter went to summer school for a couple hours this morning, my youngest. And then I picked her up and I said, all right, let me know, talk to me right now, because once we get home, mom's going right up to the computer and I have an interview. And they know when mom's door's closed, we're going to leave mom alone. And then my older daughter really is super helpful in that respect, because she'll, be that second runner up for for me, and she'll fill in and help out with the little one.
Awesome. Yep. So you've got almost a high school or a senior. She's going into her senior year right now.
Yes.
To help out with like that work management thing a little bit. And how about household duties? Are you one that's distracted by duties during the day, or do you like ignore them during the day? How does that work for you? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out for myself this week, because I had my children home all year last year, the entire 2020, from I guess March through August of 2021. My kids were home 24/7. And they've been in school. This is their 4th day back to school in Arizona. We start really early. And I am having to revamp my entire routine. Now I have to get up and drive them to school. And so the time that I was working is shifting from the morning into the midday. And now I am like, oh, shoot, my husband would really appreciate it, I'm sure, if I unloaded the dishwasher and switched the laundry and folded and put away. But I need to get work done. So how are you managing with the kids at home all the time? Are they homeschooling or doing online school?
So they were homeschooled prior to this. So since COVID hit and we were shut down, they were homeschooled. They will be going back into person this fall.
Yeah. Okay.
While everyone is home, it's really like they have their chores to do. For me, I like to knock it out in the evening, and so that I allow myself some time to really make use of my prime time. So I'm not working 8 hours straight, just because like I'm not one of those people that feels that you have to constantly be sitting at your computer doing something to make it make sense. Like you're actually, you're not always being productive. You need to do activities that you're actually making, some progress with, and not just being busy. So I've cut a lot of that, nonsense work. And it's not really, that's probably a really poor word for that, but the busy work, I cut a lot of that out, and we're just reevaluated how I'm going to use my time and in towards what goals they're, going to help me achieve.
How did you cut out this busy work? Was it automated, things that were easy or things that you can ignore?
Well, a really good thing like to do is if you have the means to hire a professional or personal assistant.
Okay.
To take care, even if it's just for a couple hours a week, to take care of some tasks, even if it is household tasks. There's nothing wrong or shameful about that. As long as you are being utilized, in the best way possible, and using your energy in the best way possible, and not being drained. Because when you take on those tasks that really drain your energy that you could be handing off to somebody else, whether it's, hired personal assistant, or if it's your family, when you take on those tasks, you're draining the energy that you have that you can be using for those activities that you're really good at, that you're really strong at. So to me, it's just really observing, being very conscious of, okay, this is how I've spent my day, even just evaluating for the next 7 days. Like, how am I really spending my time, and where can I cut things out
Right.
that aren't
When
serving me, that aren't filling the buckets that I want to
Mhm.
fill, you know?
When you said personal assistant, did you mean like literally a human who comes into your home to help you with physical tasks,
Not,
or like more like what else can they do?
I mean, they could do anything. Not necessarily somebody that comes in, but you can hire a
Mhm.
personal assistant to come in and tidy up your house, help you prepare the next day,
Mhm.
get your mail, open the mail, do the calendar, check your email, which they could probably do from their home, but get your email situated,
Mhm.
delete unnecessary stuff and put things on the calendar, and just take the mindless stuff.
Right.
You
It's probably some of the things that you were helping people with when you were working as more of an administrative assistant or a virtual assistant.
I was doing more of like like I wasn't doing the daily tasks.
Okay.
I was doing more of the building the systems,
Oh, got it.
monitoring the sales funnels.
So when you have someone helping you, are they a virtual assistant or are they an in-person personal assistant?
Right now would be virtual.
Okay.
But I am looking in probably later this year to have somebody come in um, and help with some of the tasks. But at
Right.
this point, my schedule just feels right, and I'm
Okay.
okay.
That's
But
good to hear. Not everyone can say that.
yeah, no. But one thing I noticed when I started shifting, and I think this is something I mentioned in our very original conversation months back, but um I when I switched to like vacuuming at night, it was the best thing ever.
So I want to hear more about this because I know you wrote that into the guest interest form that you filled out for me, and I
Yeah.
wanted that was going to be my next question. What the
Oh.
heck?
Because when you wake up, so for me, if I see dirty dishes in the sink immediately when I wake up,
Yeah.
I'm going to go and do those dirty dishes
Right.
and get that
Yeah.
cleaned up. Laundry, I'm going to go and do instead of recouping it and getting ready for the day and doing my
Got it.
mindset and working
Mhm.
out, whatever your morning routine is to really get yourself going for the day.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be cleaning unless that makes you happy. It shouldn't be cleaning. Okay. So for me, I moved like vacuuming. I noticed like I bought a new vacuum cleaner during COVID. And it was like the best thing ever. When you're an adult, those things make you happy when you're buying those, purchases, adult purchases.
Yes.
Um,
It's like a present
yes,
for
yes.
yourself.
So I would vacuum in the evening. And then once I'd have the kitchen cleaned, when you get up in the morning, you have like a clean house.
Yeah.
Not like the deep cleaning, right? You're not gonna be able to do that every single day, but
Hmm.
um just that, wiping down of counters, getting your dishes out of the sink, keeping your kitchen clean, and just running the vacuum. And that has been an automated thing for me. I have a routine, folding the blankets, putting them in the basket, and just picking up. And my youngest one really helps. My oldest one, she's off with friends all the time. But my youngest one, she knows the drill and we do it together, you
I
know?
know that this would very much resonate with my husband. I don't think I see messes the same way that he does. Like
Mhm.
I can deal with them, but it sounds like what he would say, like when we go on a vacation, he's like trying to clean the whole house. I'm just trying to get out the door, whatever mess we make. And he's like, oh no, I don't want to come home to a
Don't want to
dirty
come
house.
home.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's how he feels in the morning when he comes down for lunch. He's working from home currently. He'll be, running through the dishes and stuff where I use cleaning more as like a procrastination tool. And so I almost have to be like, I need to push it back to the evening
Yes.
so that during the daytime, when I do have this quiet time, I can work and focus because my family is downstairs where the kitchen and the living room and the cleaning would be happening anyway. And to be able to spend time with them, I know that something's counter intuitive. For some people, they would say, oh, I don't want my best hours to be spent cleaning. I want them, to be able to spend with my kids. But for me, like, then I would at least be with my kids than
Mhm.
holed up in my office by myself. I can get
I
behind that.
Yeah, I understand that though. Like I use that as a procrastination tool as well. And that's why I do catch myself like, I know I want to clean up, but I really got to get this done. That's priority. So it's a learning,
I remember
lesson in progress.
when we moved to Arizona, we went from having a gas powered mower from when we had our big yard, when we lived in, I guess we had yards when we lived in, I guess, Missouri and Illinois. And then we moved back to Missouri with a different house and had an even bigger yard, and it took like 4 hours to mow it. When we moved to Arizona, we had a little postage stamp sized backyard, and we got a rotary mower, the old, like, not gas powered, just man powered.
Yeah.
And it was quiet. It's like, you could barely hear it. And so it was wonderful because my husband could mow the yard at 9 o'clock at night. We just turned on the back porch light and nobody would hear it. And I guess with vacuuming at night might not work for everyone. Like if they're living in like in a close quarters, like apartment complex or something like that. But for you, it's working. And how late are we talking? Like
I go
midnight?
to bed early. No,
like
I go to bed early. Okay. It's my vacuuming is done by like 9, unless it's game night. So because my kids are athletes. So unless it's like game night, my vacuuming is done at 9. Yeah, no, I am not trying to vacuum at midnight. That's not going to work. And I should mention, it's just myself and my kids here. I don't have that spouse. So
yeah,
that does add a whole other level of, because they have their own, they have to help with the household duties as well, but they also have their own opinion on what should get done. So I feel like I kind of have an advantage here, actually, even though, I would love to share my house with somebody. I feel like as far as like how annoying the dirty sink can get, it's just me that it's annoying,
right.
It's not somebody else.
So when you're balancing your time and your household, it's like you and the kids, and you're getting it all done from home right now. Work, school, everything. Is there anything that's not working for you right now that you would like to change, or that you've changed recently that's helping?
I was not, and I think many people might be beating themselves up about it, and I realize that that's not the best path, but getting movement in. That is one thing I've been good at the past few months. But even at the beginning of COVID, it was a great opportunity, there were so many things that you could plug into your TV and so many apps that were offering discounts and stuff. But even when you had that opportunity, it wasn't necessarily like you were utilizing it as well as you can. So getting more movement in is the biggest change that I wanted to see, and I'm starting to get it. However, that's a struggle in its own, because I have to figure out my daughter's scheduling, because I can't, take my 7-year-old to the gym. She can't stay home alone. So I have to figure out what works for my older child to actually be in the house to, care for the younger one.
Right.
So that I can get out and,
get
that movement in.
Pardon me. Yeah, when I was driving my kids to school this morning and I was heading home, actually, I had to bring my husband to work as well. I like dropped off 4 people with backpacks today. And on my way home, I was like, it's just so hot. We live in Arizona and it's just so hot. And in the wintertime, like from October through about April, it's really prime time. Like you could be out running, jogging, biking every single day, all day. And it's just gorgeous. In the summer is harder, when it's 108 by, 9 a.m. It's not so easy. I tried to go for a walk yesterday and I think it was 88 degrees when I left, but I still felt like I was overheating, and that's cold for Arizona. I was like, I just need a treadmill so bad. And I've been kind of looking around in our Buy Nothing group. Every once in a while we can post do you need anything? Do you want anything? And like, it's kind of a big ask. Like, does anyone happen to have a treadmill they're just trying to get rid of? And that's, people aren't going to get rid of it in the summertime in Arizona because everyone wants one. And I'm like, you know what? I might just have to hit up Facebook Marketplace and start to like maybe put a few alerts on OfferUp and like just kind of keep an eye out more actively for one for, you know, under a few $100s or something. It'd be great if I could actually have one that would fold up enough that I could stick it under my desk and use it as like a standing walking desk. Yes. You want to say something?
Yes. I saw an advertisement for one. It was like it was so simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
And it would slide right under, you know, your desk in the advertisement. It was
Yes.
like, you can fold it up, you could slide it under your desk.
Mm-hmm.
It can be that walking, you know, work.
Right. Because I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not going to run. Like, I'm not going to need to go more than 7 miles per hour ever. Literally. And so a lot of those, they have the cap at, I think it's 3, maybe even 2 miles per hour. I'm not sure if you have it with the arms folded down, but if you fold up the arms, if it has arms that can fold, not all of them do, then you can go up to like 7. I'm not going to ever run. I just hate it. So I know myself well enough to be like, but yeah, I might just get one. Our house is small. We've got 5 people. And I know that everyone's, you know, idea of what small is compared to others, but we only have one living room. So we don't have like that extra den or the extra office or the extra family room or a spare bedroom. None of that. Like, we have nothing like that. Basically, if we wanted to put a treadmill somewhere, it'd have to be kind of in the middle of the living room and then fold it up. And I'm working out of a closet, so we're not working with much space here either. So it had to be pretty compact, but
You know, I don't mean to name drop here, but I follow this woman on YouTube, Grow with Joe, and she does like indoor walking exercises. And some of them get a little, you know, you're sweaty, but I think it's great for movement. If you don't have a lot of space, you're still getting that movement in.
On a treadmill?
No, it's
just
not.
Walking?
I mean, she does more than just, you know, what you think. You're doing movement, and you're actually, you know, your heart rate is up. It's steady. You should just, you know, check it out. See if it works for you. It's without the treadmill, obviously.
Joe, like Josephine,
Yes.
kind of Joe. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Walk with Joe. Is that what you said?
Grow with Joe.
That rhyming, it's even better. Yeah. All right.
It's just
that's good.
Indoor, you know, walking in place, you know.
Well, there's certain kinds of tasks that I can do while I'm walking. I remember right before I met my husband, I was going to the gym, and it was a 24/7 gym, and they had treadmills, and I would make them pretty slow. I was going 2.5, maybe 3 miles an hour. And I would read books that were kind of easy to read, like not like the really difficult, like mind bending, business style books, but like kind of easy stories. Kind of like a beach read, you know? And I felt like if it was too intense, I couldn't walk and read both well at the same time. But if it was the easy storytelling, you know, simple stories, I could walk 7 hours. I mean, I could just keep going because I love reading. But yeah, I kind of stopped all of that when I met my husband. We actually started going for walks in person together. And then we got married, got pregnant, and I just stopped exercising for like 10 years. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I am thinking, and that's where his go-to as well when we're exercising, if he's going to go to a gym, he's just going to hop on the treadmill and walk. So why don't we just have one in our house? It'd be easy. In the wintertime, we could always put it in our garage. We've got a carpeted carpet because someone from my Buy Nothing group gave it to us. And that's our kids' basically like exercise play area. And we just keep our cars outside. Otherwise, we have like a deck in the back that has a gazebo type canvas walls that we could put out in the winter. But yeah. So what do you do for exercise? Do you go to a gym or you do the Grow with Joe stuff?
Okay. So I've been doing the Grow with Joe, and I also go and I walk the neighborhood. So I'll do about 4 miles. I don't do everything every day. Right.
Yeah.
So excuse me for a moment. My cat needs to come in.
Go for it.
Okay. Sorry. So my goal is to at least get 10,000 steps in. And that's just an initial goal because I know that I haven't been moving as much as I should. Um, it's not about weight loss, it's about health
Yep.
and how your body feels and growing, with age, you really need to keep your body moving. So I'll either go outside for a walk if it's nice and if it's not terribly hot. So we're in Wisconsin, so we're okay. I could do
This
that
is
before
your
9 a.m.
nice season.
Yeah. And the Grow with Joe workouts, I'll do that if I need to get something in and I can't get out for a walk. But I also joined a gym and I've been going there lately, and I actually will be going there in a little bit to get my run in. So
Good for you.
yeah.
How are you measuring your steps? Because like back in the olden days, 20 years ago, I used like an actual physical pedometer that would just kind of like wiggle and mark each step. Are you using like a Fitbit or some sort of Apple Watch or something like that?
So really cool tip. I know Apple Watches are like hot and all the electronics, being connected are great for monitoring everything. I had an Apple Watch and I sold it because I did not like being always connected.
Yeah.
I was distracted and it was
Mhm.
taking away from being productive.
Mhm.
And everyone can connect with me at all time. So I don't have a watch anymore. I did track that and it was great. But now it's just on average, I'll keep track of it on my health app on my iPhone. So if I walk, however many miles, it's generally about the same for a woman. Men are different. The amount of steps they get in per mile if they walk.
Mhm.
So if I'm going out for a walk, I'll use like the Under Armour Map My Walk app,
Yep.
and that will tell me how far I walk and
Mhm.
then how many steps approximately based on how fast and all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
But if I like don't, then I don't know. I don't always carry my phone with me. That's the thing. Like if you have
Yeah.
your phone on person, it will calculate it for you,
Mhm.
at least for my iPhone. But I mean, I'm just winging it here. I just want an average. I'm not trying to be
I'm with
like
you.
exact. I just need to make sure I move my body um and stay healthy.
When I used to use the walk map my walk type app or maps to see how far I was walking,
Mm-hmm.
then I felt like I was constantly like looking at it and like watching it. And right now, one of my goals is to reduce my screen time, especially with my
Mm-hmm.
phone. And so I usually what I'll do is I'll go for like a long walk, and usually one that if I were to drive it in a car, I could follow the
Mm-hmm.
same path so
Mm-hmm.
that I can get in my car and just drive it really quick. And then I'll just know that if I do this particular route, it's going to be about 5 miles. If I'm going to do this route, it's just a mile. If I do them both, then it's 6 miles. And then I'll just have that in my head that I took a 6 mile walk today, to kind of try to deconnect and disconnect a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great idea. There's also like apps online or programs online where you can just go in it and retrace your steps and then it will
Oh, yeah.
calculate it for you. Or you could
With your finger.
do it yeah, or with
Mhm.
the mouse or whatnot. You can do it in advance. Like if you know that you want to go and at least get 2 miles in, and you can map out, where you need to start and where you need to
I like the idea
go.
that you can just draw it out and then you don't have to be like looking at it or following
Yeah.
it, or it's not. I don't always like my phone to know where I am at all times. That feels kind of creepy that it always knows where I'm at. Where, my goodness, I'm not talking very well today. It feels kind of creepy. So I actually have like the GPS. I don't know, not always connected.
Mm. You know, one thing too is like my normal walks, if I go outside for a walk, I know the route so much that I know if I do this route, my usual route 2 times, that's a little over 4 miles and I'm
Mm-hmm.
good, and I could even split that up without even bringing my phone. I know
Mm-hmm.
like how far I'm managing. So but my neighborhood is so small and I could do the same route every day. I'm good. But people do like to switch it up too. And
How many miles does it take for you to get to 10,000 steps? Just so I
I
know.
think it's like almost 5 or 5. It's like roughly around that. But the reason why I do like 4 miles is because my daily steps,
Mhm.
count as well.
Of
So,
course.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about something different. I wanted to go into a little bit about some of the work that you do with your women right now as you're coaching people who were leaving corporate
Mhm.
into being entrepreneurial. Are you finding that people are all wanting to work from home, or some people want to work from like the WeWork spaces, or that want to be the digital nomads? Do you feel like you're kind of finding everybody the full gamut, or are most people just wanted to work from home with their kids?
Um, I guess mainly from home, but that's not necessarily something that we're mapping out in their plan. Um, but yeah, I mean, it could be a mix if they wish, but mainly my clients work from home as far as I know.
And I'm assuming that your clients are going into many different kinds of entrepreneurial journeys, right? So, what do you do when they say, I want to try to work from home with my kids? Like, I know some businesses won't allow you to do that. And that's one reason why people want to be their own boss, is so that they can, pick their own hours and work when they want. Uh, what do you recommend for people who want to work from home with their kids? I know you're doing it, but your line of work is
Yeah.
allowing you to. Not everyone
Right.
does.
I think that honestly, I want to go back to the employers need to be a little more flexible and understand
Right.
like
Yeah.
where we arrived at this 40-hour work week,
Mm-hmm.
that that no longer serves us.
Yeah.
And it was created under these other pretenses.
Mm-hmm. The
And it's
factory
not,
settings. Yeah.
yes, it's not a productivity thing. Um, so I think I'm hoping that we would see a shift, and it might not come, within the next century, but hopefully it does. Um,
Oh
it
man, I'm
needs to
hoping like
come.
5 years. Like,
But well, I think we will see a shift now that so many companies are being open, like realizing because they were forced to operate at home,
mhm,
realizing it's possible to
right.
operate at home and still maintain that productivity. But you'll see, I noticed some employers, even when I was working with career professionals and helping them transition to that next level position, um, some employers still are hesitant on allowing so much flexibility. But I don't know if they fully understand that by allowing that flexibility, you're actually going to increase the productivity. You're actually going to increase the loyalty, and giving the your employees that opportunity to be able to manage it both and
Right.
actually feel like, wow, this is so much better. Even if you're going in the office half the time and working from home half the time, or whatever your schedule may be,
Mhm.
employees, people in general, need to be able to feel like they're actually living and not just working most of their lives. Because that puts a lot of stress on people. So for those that want to work from home, they have children at home, they want to be able to make it work. I think the best thing is scheduling and finding some quiet time. Like you can't be out working even though it seems nice. I mean, I would much rather work at my kitchen table than stare at my wall in my, room, right?
Mhm.
Um, but you need that sole workspace so that you can be productive, because it is really easy to get distracted. It is
Mhm.
really easy because your home life, when you're not used to working from home, your home life is, interacting with your family, it's taking care of
Mhm.
the house, it's lounging around on the couch. So you got to disconnect from that somehow and just wrap your mind around, okay, I need this workspace. This is what I do during this time. And everyone else has to get on board. Communication is a huge, huge factor
Mhm.
in being able to make this work.
Well, and
Boundaries.
it also just depends on like what kind of work are you choosing? Are you choosing the kind of work where you're going to have to be in 8 hours of consultation, face-to-face calls, highly serious, business, decision making type things, or
Mhm.
like even things with confidential, uh, you know, people who are doing maybe like therapy type work, from home,
Mhm.
versus, like I'm just responding to emails and things that it's not going to matter if my kid is jumping on the couch in their underwear, next to my computer, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
So I think if you're deciding to work from home, what kind of work do you really want to do, and what kind of work can you do at home, especially if you're going to have kids in the
Mhm.
home without another maybe care provider for them. When I worked for Mayo Clinic, they required another adult caregiver for children
Mhm.
during your working hours. And I understand that because of the nature of the work that we did. We weren't on the camera, but our productivity and our concentration were like, it made the difference between, patient safety or, patient danger. If you say
That's a
the
really
wrong
good
left
point.
or the right, or if you hear the wrong word, we had to have, very good focus. But I mean, the type of work that you or your clients might be doing will be, it could be, it just depends. I feel like having kids in the home at different ages, like a 2-year-old versus a 10-year-old helps too.
And that's maybe my downfall with my opinion here because my children are more independent at that, at the ages that they're at.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I was planning events and in my event planning studio, I had just had my youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, there's a bug. I had just had my youngest, and it was a challenge because as I was nursing,
Yep.
she was with me all the time. She had her
Yep.
crib in my office space.
Yep.
She had everything. So she was with me all the time. And, I did have to have somebody come in and take care of her if I was going to meet with the client because,
Yeah.
I needed that level of, you know, respect and professionalism. Not everybody
Yeah.
wants to be bothered with a baby and be interrupted on their time. So that was important.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can see how it can be challenging if you have toddlers running around. Um, the younger age, they're going to need some more supervision. They're going to need more interaction. You can't just give them a tablet and shoo them off. That's not healthy. We do have to get more support, and it is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a challenge. And as far as like my perspective right now, being able to work from home, it's nice because my oldest daughter, she's a teenager, she's very responsible, she's good, right? My 7-year-old, I can give her a task. I can get her on board with, okay, mom's got to do this, mom's got goals and this is how it affects the family and here's how you can help. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
elementary school kids, if you're your own boss, you can tell them, you can show them how this affects, once mom hits this
Mm-hmm.
goal, this is what we're going to do as a family
Yeah.
and get them involved. But I need you to do XYZ. This is your responsibility so we can reach these goals.
My
And
kids are
everybody
starting.
plays a part in that.
Yeah. My
But
kids are starting to get that entrepreneurial like bug, I think, just knowing that, there's little things that they can do to even start to think about making money. Go ahead. Sorry, I
yeah,
interrupted you.
no, and when you work from, for a company, um, perhaps you could just shift the way, obviously, um, you're not in control of your income goals, but you
Yeah.
may have other goals that you can, um, tweak some goals and get the children involved so that they can be respectful of your time and understand what needs to happen in order for, the kids to get what their athletic membership. I don't know, something, whatever, just incorporate it, getting them involved and helping them understand boundaries. And that's good. But yeah, the toddler and baby, that's going to be, it is a challenge. And
I was
gotta
working
get
while
some
they
more
were
support.
sleeping most of
Yeah.
the time. If they were sleeping, I had my husband who could be the first line of defense. I
Mhm.
had a 2-year-old who was still nursing for a while, and I would be on camera and she'd come crawling in here and I'd be like, okay, we're gonna have to keep that off the camera, but I'll just tilt my camera a little bit and we'll make it work for a few minutes to get you out.
Yeah.
I'll text my husband and be like, come get the kid. Um, but now that they're in school, or going back into school now this year, everything is shifting for us. I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you, when you went through your MBA or your business degree,
Mhm.
I don't have that background. My background is in education. I'm an adult educator. Um, would you say that sort of background in MBA, do they really kind of like give you a path that you can take? Like, I want to be on the entrepreneurial path versus I'm planning on being a corporate. Are you prepared at all? Like, do they talk at all about people who want to go and be their own boss right away? Especially the work from home kind of thing, or do you feel like you had to forge your own way through that?
I can't speak for all programs. The program that I was in, you gained the foundation and it was all theoretical.
Mm.
Um, I think obviously it did have that entrepreneur um, part of it, which is where I built my professional organizing business.
Right.
But a lot of the other principles were geared towards larger corporations um, from a business, like as far as I remember, like this was a long
Mhm.
time ago.
Okay.
um,
Or maybe overarching that it could apply to both and then
I mean,
make of it.
it definitely can apply to both. It definitely can apply to both. The master's degree program in general, like it's good for somebody that is very experienced. Now, when I entered it because I needed to keep going, and I entered it before I even knew the direction I was headed in my career. So it was very premature. And looking back in retrospect, I would have waited or not went ahead, as planned, because in order for it to pay off, you really have to be an experienced professional, because then that's how you're going to like walk that path. Or you have to already know like you're on the entrepreneur track and just want to learn more and want to have that to your advantage. So when I went through my program, my brother-in-law was also going through his program. I was undecided of what the heck I wanted to do. I was fresh out of my undergrad and I just needed to keep going because as a single parent, I didn't want to be a stereotype, and
Mhm.
school was what kept me from, that. It kept me
Mhm.
going, it kept me focused, it kept me the forward progression in my life. Now, my brother-in-law was a professional. He knew what he was doing. He was working in advertising and marketing and all of this. And so like he just went up the ranks in an entirely different direction.
Okay.
And, I don't know. I I don't know if I'm getting lost in your question, but that's my
Sorry.
take on it.
No, that's good. So, like, if someone was ever to consider going for the MBA, maybe get your feet on the ground and get a little
Yes.
established first, and then use it to catapult yourself further into what you've already started.
Get established, figure out if that's what you need. If that's what you need to get to that next level, go for it,
Mhm.
but if it's not, and you're thinking that it is nice, you gotta do some more soul searching and figure out what it is you're looking for. Because there's so many things you can learn that you don't need an MBA to do. You don't need an MBA to be an entrepreneur. You need to, understand there's plenty of small business programs out there in the communities too that offer free resources that help people get on that path.
Oh yeah.
But it does definitely help, I think, from a perspective of like climbing that corporate ladder. I think it's definitely been
Okay.
more beneficial. Just depends on your goal. Figure out your goal first. And
I
if
I
that's the
interviewed
next step.
someone I interviewed someone a while back that dropped out of high school to be an entrepreneur. I mean, you don't even need, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously the more education you get, the more the wider perspective you might have on life.
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily necessary depending on what path you're trying to take.
It
I
it was
want
beneficial. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It
no,
was
no.
beneficial for me when because I was a college instructor as well. And in order for me to teach at a college level, I
Mhm.
had to have my master's
Right.
degree. So
Yeah.
was that served me, and I loved that opportunity.
That is true. I have actually found that my degrees, I guess my 4-year degree and my master's degree have opened up doors. Literally, just saying I have a master's degree, they don't care what it was in.
Yeah.
Literally, don't care. Just the fact that I had that master's degree level has opened doors for me or helped me start at a higher pay rate.
Yes.
So there is, I love education and I would be constantly in school if I could. We kind of let my husband take that path for a while and then it'll be my turn next again if I want. But I feel like I'm happy where I'm at right now. For a while I was dabbling in the idea that, I could get a PhD in children's literature if I wanted. But I don't need it right now. So it's all good.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you a little space to talk about some of I know that you've done some research with women and you're just finding that not everyone is satisfied. Why are most people moving to become entrepreneurs? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, from a perspective of like statistics, I've read in in her site.com did some research, and actually this research was from 2019, but moving into 2020 the numbers were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But 73% of women are unsatisfied in their career because they need more pay. They desire a mission that they can get behind. They're burnt out or they've hit a glass ceiling. And that to me is like we need more support for women in the workplace. And we need more mentorship. We need more sponsorship. We need more discussion and more leadership training. And we need to figure out how the heck are we, how can we support women in the workplace?
What about the pandemic? Because I know that more women than ever are at home with the kids. Like, what have you seen in the past year now?
Like, what was it? I forgot the last article that I read, but millions of women were removed from the workforce and had to take the lead at home, take care of the house, take care of caring, being that caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it falls on the woman, just from the society standpoint, past traditions that we're still like uh, um, associated with. It's the women that take on these duties. They also take on the emotional duties in the workplace as well, because that stereotype of women are more comforting and compassionate and kind, and we're just over exerted. We are overused and not taken care of in exchange. But yes, women have left the workforce to, be that educator, be that caretaker, And a lot of them are realizing that, it's taking income away from their households, right? But it's also unnecessary for women to have to pause their career, um, if they so choose. I think it's unfair. It's absolutely unfair that that happens. Now, like from a personal standpoint, single parent, I'm the sole provider. I'm the go-to parent. So, I mean, I wouldn't see it any other way. However, there are plenty of women that have such a deep desire in their career that if they had to leave or if they were forced to leave, I just think it's unfortunate. And I hope that there's more support to bring them back in and to provide them with the resources they need, because they should be able to have a fulfilling career and a happy home.
Yeah, I know that I was affected in the same way as many people. I've been working all this time, but I've reduced my working hours considerably, almost to, I don't know, 10-20% of what I had been doing before the pandemic.
Mhm.
And I think what we were talking about earlier is that flexibility, among employers is really important. When people want to work from home, obviously they give themselves that flexibility if they're working for themselves. But if they're working for other people, they might still,
Yeah.
even if you're working from home, your hours and your expectations, your productivity and your time away might still be under the old constraints, right?
Mhm.
I guess looking forward, now we have so many people who are wanting to work from home, and there are more opportunities to work from home than there had been, even just in like the traditional workforce. What are you recommending for women who want to, I guess will be my final question. What do you recommend for people who want to, especially women, since that's your forte,
Mhm.
um, that want to move from working in corporate or who lost that corporate job and are like, hey, I still want to work. I just want to do it from home. What do you recommend? How do you get people started on that journey?
Well, it depends on what their skills and experience are. Um, because some professions, they do, it's a little trickier than others to be able to do your own thing. But if you are looking to work from home and still stay on that same profession, figure out, you're going to have to think outside the box too. Sometimes it does take a different perspective. How can you provide a service to the marketplace with your skills and your expertise? What is it that you can do and who can you serve, and start making those connections? It's okay to, map out a few hours a day to learn those things, figure out, okay, this is what I'm really good at. This is what I could provide to the marketplace. And this is who for. And then the next steps I would recommend is to start making those connections. Like LinkedIn is a really great platform. I feel they're serious about building connections, building relationships. You can get leads on LinkedIn, really good leads through LinkedIn. It's that professional network. So you're staying connected to industry experts. You're staying connected to those that are in your field. You're staying up to date with industry trends. And you're also really carving out that area that you can fill, that you can find the need in your industry and provide that service to fill that
Even for the
gap.
people who are trying to branch off onto their own thing?
Yeah, of course. That's definitely what I would recommend, because um if you're already working, if you're already displaced, you're working, at home, it there's you still need to be able to manage how you're, using your time. And if you want to branch out on your own, then you need to start carving that time in your calendar
Yeah.
to do those things, to um, find that clarity, figure out what it is you're going to offer. And once you know those things and have clarity on your niche and your offer, and who for, then you can start communicating that and doing, generate some leads, get some money rolling in the door, test it out.
Right.
Test it out. And don't get hung up, because you're going to have, whenever anybody starts something, you're going to have to learn and tweak as you go. What you
Yeah.
think you're setting out to do might not be what you end up doing. And it's okay to pivot, knowing that you have that flexibility. But so don't like get super caught up on that. Enjoy the journey, start learning, talk about, or stay connected with industry professionals and stay in that industry chatter. But from a perspective that you're offering a service. Does that make sense? Like you
Right.
really have to wear a different hat. You're no longer working for someone else. You're working for yourself. So you have to come with something and start generating that.
Well, and like you said earlier, you can go and ask your network, like, what would you come to me for advice for? That's a good place to start. And this is what I charge for that. Like at one time you just had you had just had to say it the first time and it worked.
I'm glad you brought that up, but I really I'm against doing work for free. I think we're beyond that. Your experience, just because you're new as an entrepreneur, does not mean you deserve less. You have experience, you have the skills. So don't ever undercharge. Don't do work for free just because you need to get a testimonial. Because actually, those are the worst clients ever, because they're not invested. Go right out there and charge what you're worth for the service that you deliver, the value that you bring to the table, because you have it. You are valuable. It is important. And one other thing too is to, maybe for those that are, wondering, like you're in that planning stage, the thinking stage, the idea stage, like I said, LinkedIn is a huge platform or YouTube even, but LinkedIn is specifically, if you're wanting to stay within your industry and you're really wanting to do your own thing and branch off, utilize your network, start talking, get on video and do like little snippets and just share information and just start talking, get on camera, use your iPhone, start, get in front of a window and start saying little bits of information that could be helpful to a potential audience that you want to serve. And then you're going to get chatter in the comments. You're going to get some shares. It's all going to come, together at some point, but just do something and get out there and continue the conversation would be my tip.
I feel like this is all relevant for me as well, because I am looking at changing direction. I haven't really talked about this much recently, but in the past week, especially, the thing that I've been doing for full time for three and a half years, not as much full time in the last year, but I was doing 50, 60 hours sometimes. I was teaching ESL online, and that industry is kind of falling apart right now. Because of some really big changes in the mainland China. Every once in a while they'll flex some muscle and be like, you know what, we're not going to have foreign teachers. And so we're not losing our jobs immediately, but it's definitely going away quickly. Some of the companies have closed already, just very suddenly closed. The one that I am with, both of them that I'm with, also teach adults or are looking at working in other markets. And so we might be able to kind of keep on for a little while longer. But it's kind of rough. And so I'm looking at, other things that I might be able to do. And I appreciate that you said, don't do it for free. Cause I'm like, well, if I'm going to start doing I interviewed a lady who does resume writing. And after we hung up, she said, you might have a future in this. This might be a good job for you. And I'm looking into it. I've got a stack of books and I'm like, man, I'm going to have to do a whole bunch for free. And I appreciate that you said that, because that's a lot of time, and I actually do have the skills to help people with resumes. I might not be as skilled as someone who's been doing it for 20 years, but I definitely have skills, and just the outside perspective. And I have the skill of interviewing and asking and learning, getting to know people in a way that they might not be able to say it themselves on paper. So anyway, thank you for that. Any final thoughts? I want to find out where people can find you. if they want
Sure.
to ask you any questions, but I'm not sure if you currently have any openings for your clients right now. You can talk about that a little bit.
Oh, sure. I run two programs, the 90-day notice, and that is to help corporate women transition into entrepreneurship. And it's specifically for women who have already, they have an idea of their niche and they have clarity on their clients and they have started making that money and income and charging. And so they're seeing money come in, but they just are holding on to that day job. They're holding on to that 9 to 5. They're scared. They're indecisive. So I help them, finally step up to the plate and transition in that 90-day period. So I do run that program for a 12-week program. It's a 12-week group program. But for those who don't, that 12 weeks scares them, they want to just get that information and put it to work. I do offer a VIP day, which they meet with me for 6 hours, and we get clarity on everything. We work on mindset. We get a plan of action together, and where after that 6 hour, after the VIP day, they do have follow-up calls with me as a check-in, but they're walking out of that with a plan of action. They know what they need to do to reach their goals, and they know the steps. And yeah, it's just, those are the two offerings that I have.
And you're currently offering them both right now?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. And the VIP kid, you said if you're local to you in Onalaska, La Crosse area of Wisconsin, is it optional to be in person or is it always virtual?
It's optional to be in person. So I
Okay.
do run those virtually typically, but for those that, like that break away from their normalcy, there are some perks with that as well. I put them up in a nice little spot, and it is a VIP treatment for
good.
in person. So
All right.
eating healthy, getting your mind right, and just you're in a different space, and you're feeling it. You're feeling it. You walk away, you're excited and ready to implement that plan.
Crystal, where can people find you if they want to contact you?
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn, so they can definitely connect with me at Crystal Layland on LinkedIn, or they can visit my website, crystallayland.com.
And that's CrystalLayland.
Correct.
Okay. Because again, you and many people have names that can be spelled many different ways.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I don't think about that.
I have a cousin with a Crystal with a K. So we've got the K thing going on in my family. So all right, Crystal, thank you so much. Go get that workout in. And I think I might be inspired to go do the same. I'm going to go look up Grow with Joe.
Yes.
And check it out. All right. This has been April Malone with Crystal Layland. And yes, I work from home. We'll see you next time. Thank you.